Death at Gills Rock, a Dave Cubiak Door County mystery by Patricia Skalka, narrated by Peter J. Borys. Door County is real. While I used the peninsula as the framework for the book, I also altered some details and added others to fit the story. The spirit of this majestic place remains unchanged. For Julia and Carla, the diamond and the pearl. Nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest. Luke 8:17. Week 1, Saturday, early morning. Chapter 1. Three of a kind, joined in life, war, and honor. Dave Cubiak skimmed a headline as he ran the water over the dirty dishes piled in the sink. The Door County sheriff was normally neat about his surroundings, but with one of his deputies out sick that week, he'd been getting home barely in time to fix supper and rinse up afterward. Cubiak glanced at the mess in the basin. Cleanup duty called, but he knew that keeping up with local events was duty as well. Cubiak brushed the crumbs from the table and sat down with the Herald. Braced for a piece of Northwood's fluff, he began reading. During his first year on the Wisconsin peninsula, he was often annoyed by the blur between hard and soft news. But gradually he'd come to understand that small-town reporting simply represented a different way of looking at the world. Where little happened, people were the news, and what happened to them mattered. The story captivated Cubiak. The three boyhood friends were World War II veterans who'd fought together in the United States' only battles against the Japanese on American soil. They'd enlisted after Pearl Harbor and shipped out with the Sturgeon Bay Coast Guard contingent, assigned to help the Army pry the enemy from its foothold in Alaska's Aleutian Islands, staving off an invasion of the mainland. In 1943, American troops had ousted Japanese forces from strongholds on Amchitka, Komandorsky, and Attu Islands. The trio, Terrence, Big Guy Huntsman, Eric Svensson, and Jasper Wilkins, were to be honored at the commissioning ceremonies for a new patrol cutter named for the Battle of Attu, an 18-day siege that ended with a Japanese banzai or suicide attack. Cubiak sipped his coffee and continued reading. He recognized the men. Huntsman, Svensson, and Wilkins were Door County stalwarts from Gills Rock, a blip of a town at the tip of the peninsula. After the bloody ordeal on Attu, the three friends served together for the duration of the war. Once peace was restored, they returned home to the isolated waterfront village of their childhoods. Two photos beneath the fold showed them before and after. First as gangly 18-year-olds in white Coast Guard uniforms, standing on the forward deck of the USS Arthur Middleton, and now as gray-haired octogenarians, scarred by time but still rugged and Viking tall, framed against the steely waters of northern Door. On the page 2 jump, the veterans were pictured with their wives, three more of a kind, thought Cubiak. A smaller photo in the right-hand corner showed an Army private named Christian Nils, also of Gills Rock. Just 19 and newly married when he joined up, Nils died when his troop transport capsized in stormy seas during an ill-fated landing attempt. Huntsman, Svensson, and Wilkins were among the Coast Guardsmen cited for their heroic efforts to try to save Nils and the other 170 men washed overboard or stranded on the ice-coated rocky shore of Amchitka Island. The worst horror of war, Cubiak thought. Worse even than taking a life was the inability to preserve one. You killed your enemies, but tried to save your friends. Everything surreal, bombs and blood, the heavy silence of the dead and anguished cries of the dying. For him, sandstorms and strangling heat. For Nils and the three friends, impenetrable fog and frigid water. Cubiak flinched. He rarely thought about his two closest Army buddies, Tobias, a football player who'd left Kuwait without a leg, and Kenny, a drummer who went home in a body bag with only half a brain. The others were lost in a blur of confusion.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?